And we are live. Live on the internet. Welcome. This is Productivity and Procrastination. I'm doing this all by myself. This is Productivity and Procrastination. I'm Joe. And he's James. We're a couple of procrastinators looking to get productive.
Yes,
Ooh.
we are. What episode is this? Thought you were going to do
12?
this all yourself, you said. Oh,
I think it's 12.
good. That
My
sounds
feelings
good.
tell me.
Well, my memory says I did not hear you say the word 12
No,
before.
I did not. I definitely did not. All right, James. Tell me about your week. How was it?
I feel like I had a good week.
Yeah? Did you get that
Yeah.
photo shoot done?
No.
Why?
Timing didn't work out.
Timing
But-
with your wife?
Yeah. Just,
I wrote it down and it says
I know.
photo shoot, blame it on the wife.
I will. Yeah. No, I've had a really crappy schedule for the last week. I've been working from like 11 a.m. till 8 p.m.
Oh.
for most of the week. Yeah. And I've found out that when that happens, you really don't have a lot of any real time. So I would get home at like 8:30. You know, by the time I take a shower and eat with the family, watch a show or two, you know, it's like bedtime, and then, you know, maybe I'd sleep in, you know, it was, and then you have to go to work, you know, very shortly after, so you practically don't have time to do anything, if there's anything to do at all, which for me, every millisecond was like, oh, well, yeah, you work at 11, but you got a 8:40 appointment with your wife, you know, in another city, you know. So it's like, I didn't have anything until my time switched to like 1 p.m. I work till 10.
Yeah, that's
And
better.
that's the last 2 days. I've had that. And it's going to be more consistently that now. So
They're slowly working you
I've
to night shift again. Is what it seems like.
so I have just been able to do things in the morning now. And I still haven't played any video games. It's been like 3 weeks now.
That's crazy.
And I wrote a little bit on my lunch break. And I have been, I rearranged my room. I cleaned my room, which was needing it. It was probably all my fault. It was so trashed for so long. I've been just taking my moments. You know, if I think of something, it's like, oh yeah, you know, I need to do this. I will actually just do it now instead of finding something else to do that's more, you know, fun. So it's been good. I feel like for the time that I have the last few days, I did almost as good as I could have been expected of myself. And so I guess I'll leave it at that with I don't see any reason why that isn't going to continue for me. At least that's what I tell myself. Um, because my time is so limited that it just makes me want to do good. Um, so that's kind of where my mindset is.
Do you feel like you're getting more done now that your time is limited?
Yes,
Hmm.
it's honed me a little bit, and it's a necessity. I mean, I have to get something done during those times, otherwise, that's it. That's the one moment I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make some progress. Now, I did experience a little bit of what you said the other week, which was like, oh well, I felt like I couldn't do anything until I like organized my space or whatever. Um, that was how I felt about my room. I had time that day. It was the first day that I worked at 1 p.m. And I was like, okay, well, I got like 4 or 5 hours here. And I was sitting in bed and I was like, you know what? This is this is not good. And I just immediately went and started a ginormous task. But
Mm-hmm.
and it could have been, it was the first day I could have played a video game. It was the first day I could have
Yeah.
just actually relaxed for a quantity of time. And I chose to get something done. I finally found my stinking. We have like this. Went to Costco and bought this like massager thing. It has all these bits and stuff that you can change out, and we've been missing the package of all the bits for like who knows how long. I found those in the room too. Like, wow,
Nice.
that's cool. Um, but no, I feel like something has changed a little bit. It's just feels like it's all just coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to get things done, and I have the taste of working again, which is also pushing me to go, you know what? In 2 years, do I want to be working for somebody other than myself? No. Okay. Well, there's a certain trajectory I have to, you know, maintain. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's been good.
So that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that you're getting stuff done, and I can't imagine not playing video games for 3 weeks. That's mind-boggling.
This last week I didn't even think about it.
Really?
Like
Hmm.
I didn't even realize that I hadn't played a video game. And I bought Mario Wonder for my family. They've been
Hmm.
playing that. I haven't even
Have they
played
gotten
one
the
minute of
Elephant
it.
Mario yet?
I sorry, don't know anything.
Shameful. All right. Well, congrats, James. It sounds like you're pushing out a lot of procrastination by getting rid of video games. Like that's a lot. It's a lot of procrastination.
I'm not saying I've given up on video games by any means, but
Well, I mean, you have for the last 3 weeks, which is incredible. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you feel more productive? Do you feel more fulfilled? Like,
well, like I've also been working on like what I'm eating and things like that.
mm-hmm,
Um, Now that I have a normal schedule in the morning, I'm doing a 1 meal a day morning eating only now. Now this is a recent thing. Yesterday I ate before I went to work, probably like 10 or 11 a.m. And I haven't eaten since then. And I'm gonna eat with you for your birthday sometime today. That's when I'll eat.
Birthday.
So it's like my schedule is working out for doing everything I wanted to do in the right time. Like, remember the other week when you were talking about, oh, I want to be able to sleep and then get up and work and be fresh. Well, I can every day now. I can
Right.
get a full night's sleep, wake up, have a block of time, a substantial amount of time, and everything is just in the right variables to produce a certain amount of possible success. And I just have to capitalize on it. I have been so far. So it's that momentum I want to keep up. I'm assuming, once I have a break, maybe, I will choose to play a video game or something someday.
Right.
But right now, I'm so booked up with every single thing I am doing that I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do that lately. So.
Right. No, for sure. My week was productive. I drew 3 of the 4 days. Or sorry, 3 of the 7 days. I don't know why I said 4 days. But yesterday, I've got wounds.
Cats.
I got in a fight with my car,
Oh,
and I got it fixed.
nice.
It was very empowering to
Yeah, I bet.
replace the thingy that I replaced. I don't know what it's called exactly.
Ignition coil
I
or
think so. It's the housing for the ignition cylinder.
nice.
So I did that. I felt very cool.
You should.
And then my friend Duck put in my window for me.
Nice.
And so it's working, but now the brakes are borked. And so I don't know. I have to press all the way down for the brakes to work. And so I'm going to go take them to Les Schwab today. Take it to Les Schwab. And just have them fix it. Because I'm not going to... I did enough mechanicking.
Okay, I was about to say you did the hard part.
Yeah.
Brakes are easy.
Yeah.
But no, you deserve a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did stuff. Stuff got done.
Well, it's a lot easier to pay for the brakes when you know the car is now functioning and working and worth it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that and I can drive the car over there as opposed to having it towed somewhere.
good job. That's a big deal. Transportation when you lack it, it's
Yeah. It's terrible. But yeah, so that was all. That's what I just did yesterday, and then afterward I was pooped. So I didn't do much afterward. I played some video games, so that's why I didn't end up drawing yesterday. But I did. So I did one day where it was Wednesday when I ended up going to bed at around 8ish, 8 to 9, and waking up with my normal circadian rhythm. I think that's the term.
yeah,
Just woke up
circadian
naturally.
rhythm. Yeah, whatever.
And then I just did some art, and it was awesome. It was a very productive 2 hours. I ended up waking up 2 hours before work.
Nice.
And it was very productive. and I woke up naturally, so it's not like, you're groggy and you're still trying to wake up. It's like I was just awake. And so it was very effective. But the hard part is getting to bed at 8.
I was gonna ask you that. Like,
I did
how
it
was that?
once. I did it once. And I was successful once. Like, that's rough. I'm going to try to do better this week because I do see the value in it. Because I got so much. I felt like I got so much done. So.
Yeah, the problem is going to be the okay, so for me, I can make it every day, you know, because on the dot, I decided I'm going to bed at midnight. I don't care what fun's going on. I don't care. Done. So I'm going in my room. And but with you unless you always go to bed 8, you know, it's very difficult to go to bed at 8.
Yeah.
How many hours is that different from a normal stay up Joe night?
So typically I go to bed around 11. Typically.
Seems like every time I see you stay up, it's well past 11.
Well, that's when I'm supposed to go to bed.
Okay.
Sometimes I end up
What's
staying
your
up a little
true
bit.
average, Joe, when you stay up?
I would say, my average is probably around 11:30 midnight.
Okay. So that's like 3.5 to 4 hours difference from the time that you're talking about. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think you're going to be able to just randomly go to bed 8 o'clock when you feel like it?
I think with how my life is scheduled, I can go to bed at like just start making 8 o'clock my bedtime again because I used to have to do it for work. If I can just get back into that same rhythm.
Yeah, the problem is it really stinks to have to go to bed at 8. But um,
Ugh, yeah, it does. Because
I mean, it's still like practically light out a lot of the times. That's difficult. Um, so, and you've tried the flip flop. You've tried staying up till like 1 o'clock in the morning every day, and
trying to get up for
making it
work.
the. Oh, what time do you work?
7, or I work at 8. I wake up at
Okay.
7:30.
Oh, okay. So you'd have to go to bed midnight, or yeah. And you're not very good at falling asleep.
Usually I am. Sometimes I have these fits of like I need to wake up and drink some milk or do something.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is for me anyway, I need it to be an everyday pattern, otherwise it will cease to become a pattern.
Yeah.
And so it's like
I think
you
I'm
either have to
the same
go
way.
nuts at 8 p.m. every day is your shut off time, regardless, or you need to stay up and get something done every day, regardless, every
Mm-hmm.
now and then, or alternate fun day, work time, fun day, work time, some pattern has got to work.
Right.
I don't foresee you having great success with every now and then choosing to go to bed at 8 p.m. and every now and then, or most of the time, let's say 65% of the time, you're going to stay up till 11:30 at midnight. That's what the math says for my life, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So take it where you want to leave it, but it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it might be better to just do like set time aside from like 8 to 11 as like work time, and then that's like the default. It's time to get some work done.
I know you have things scheduled of people on certain nights, things like that. There's got to be,
Yeah. So the
you
default
know,
would be I get to work if, you know, it's one of those nights where it's like, okay, well, little humans want to play some video games, or it's Friday and I'm playing DBD with Josh and Janelle. Like that's you know.
okay. Yeah, I would think as long as you had the control, and
Mhm.
I know that's, um, that would be the way that I would think I would have the most success if it was me, and not trying to flip flop. And your body, has a harder time with that too.
Yeah.
And we have to play to every advantage, you know, to get something done because we are the procrastinators. So,
Mhm.
how do we make it the most successful possible? For me, it's I made a fast and hard rule about when I go to bed,
Yeah.
you know?
Midnight is such a good bedtime.
Yeah, it feels perfect to me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's a new day. Time to go to bed.
If I worked like an hour later, that would also be my bedtime.
Mm.
Which maybe my schedule should be switching up in April, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if you could
There'll be a shift bid.
fandangle
Hmm.
a midnight go to bed time, that would be excellent.
Yeah. Or make my work day earlier so that way I have more during the daytime. Because from like 4 until God knows when, it's call after call after call after call. And it's like, ugh, ugh.
Yeah, you have to balance the mental energy as well, find the sweet
Mm-hmm.
spot. And it's going to be a little bit of give and take, I'm sure, but there's a best decision out there for you.
Yeah.
And we need to set ourselves up for the best decisions. That's the extra thing that we don't have to think about beyond that. We have to set ourselves up for the best possible result. And we're already fighting, urges to play video games and do fun things and all that. But if we can set aside all those extra things, the mental, the the timing of sleep and all that, then we're just setting ourselves for a more of a possible chance that we're going to do something right to further
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Yeah. I've also found like the more sleep I get, the more willing I'm to do things. Like I don't feel like if you're fully rested, you're gonna feel like doing stuff more.
Yeah,
I know
you
when I'm
may be right
sleepy,
there.
I'm like, I'm barely functioning. So don't discount sleep as something that's important. I think it has a lot to do with your willpower or motivation.
Yeah, I'll say sleep has a lot to do with feeling good for
Mm-hmm.
me, right? And like the other day, when the first day I had possible to play a game, I chose to do a 4 hour stinking room clean. Well, I had a really good night's sleep, and I got up and had And so it allowed me to make the better choice, but I felt good and I had the time, all the variables were lined up and it was like, okay, the possible good decision was there and all the things that allowed me to say yes to it were also lined up. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, this next week I'm gonna keep focusing on. I think I bruised my head. It's fine. I'm gonna keep focusing on trying to draw every day. Working on my illustrations that I have planned. I'm gonna write these down.
And when you talk about illustrations that you have planned, these are the ones that you are potentially going to sell?
Yes, these are
Good.
gonna go online as printable, sellable objects,
Excellent.
and I'll figure out something to do with them. Like if I can cut pieces out and use those for like mugs or what I can do. But they'll at least have the option of being able to buy it as like a poster or as a printable thing. So
Nice. Oh, excuse me. Yeah,
cool.
it's been surprising, the whole video game aspect for me.
Yeah.
It's but the most surprising thing to me was how I really didn't even think about it this last week.
Yeah. Maybe the hold on that they have on you is diminishing. See, I would be up for trying that too, right? Like, because I mean, it does sound like a very productive thing, just like don't play video games. But for me, a lot of the time I spend with people is online through video games. And so it's like, it's it's hard for me to want to throw away video games when that's my way of connecting with people.
Yeah, and that's was my primary way of connecting with my family. And I think the only reason we haven't is just because Heather can't really go in the computer room and stay for very long each day. Um, so we've been doing other things, but the nice part about just like watching, a series or something, which is what we've done, is that there's a chunk of time that is like one episode equals this amount of time. It's always the same. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
change. Now, sometimes we'll watch two if we have the opportunity and timing is right, but that's a very set amount of time, you know, and it's very easy to like quantify in your head. Um, when you play a video game, it isn't like that. It's like, oh, I'm playing a video game. Man, it could be like as much time as I have. And there's no like 45-minute episode, alarm going off, as you're playing it.
Right.
It's like everything's usually in the heat of the moment. And it's like, no, I'm having fun and everyone's having fun. So we just continue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the hard part about video games. It's open ended time wise.
Yep. Yeah.
If you can control that with your family, then there's probably nothing wrong with what you're deciding. If it's more like what I'm talking about, where the ending time just kind of floats off and
Yeah.
that's very random, then that's where video games are hard.
It's because well, it's hard because they're just so much fun, especially when you're playing with people that you really enjoy just spending time with. Like it's hard to want to put it down. I mean, we played how many hours of Diablo 3?
Oh yeah.
Crazy. Like we've had 40-hour characters die multiple times.
I had a
40
120
hour.
hour. I had a 120-hour character die.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh.
from lag.
Oh.
And I took a 5-minute break and then remade a character. 5-minute
Yep.
mourning period.
Woof.
So yeah, these decisions we're making, these choices we make, all these little nuances about them matter. But what really matters is our future. You know? So somewhere along the way, you have to get to a point where you can make the decision to work.
Yeah. And with that, like, I don't know if I've mentioned it here before, but I do think it's worth restating if I have. Is when you look back at your triumphs and then your failures, you end up stacking all of your failures onto each new failure. And so like there's this like bogged down of like I can't do this, I'll never succeed because I have never succeeded. When I mean each time is its own unique possibility of success. And don't look at your failures as like gosh, it's so hard to explain. Like cuz logically you've heard this 1,000 billion times, right? Where it's not a failure, it's like take what you can and learn from it. But it doesn't really click until you start doing it. Like the wording makes sense, but to actually shift how your brain views failure is so important. Because sure, like you can hear those words, but if you're not ready to embrace them and use them to look at your failures, then it's just going to go in one ear and out the other, just like it does for me, or has for me. But when you look at like mistakes or failures, and you really break down, okay, hey, I really like this, I really like that. I don't know why this failed. I don't know why I stopped working on this. What happened between these 2 points? And how do I fix that? Like you see this like amalgamation of frustration because you've failed, but you're not looking at the nitty-gritty details and figuring out why you failed, what you could have done differently.
I have thought on that. For me, in my kind of perfectionist mind, I'm not doing things right until I can do them perpetually. Now, perpetually has you can break that down into every second, or you can break that down into each day or each week or whatever. But for me right now, I'm trying to just every moment that I have access to and do something. So in that regard, I've been quote unquote as perfect as I can be lately. Very short period of time, matter of days. But what I'm trying to say is that in that, I always like took it when you're looking back and you look, oh, how did I do this yesterday? You're like, oh, I played 8 hours of video games. I didn't do anything and yada yada. I go down and I go, okay, well, what tweak can I make that's going to make it so that I didn't fail that day? You know? And so for me, it's always like one little tweak, and then I have to observe it. Oh, okay, well, the next time that exact kind of scenario happened, did I fail or did I succeed there? You know, forget about failure and success words, but
Right.
just go with that. So all along, I keep making this assumption that a certain amount of tweaks and a certain amount of right decisions and how I operate will come together and make it so that I will always be good. I will be that perfect me. And so these this success look at yourself or this failure look at yourself, it has a lot to do with never stopping. So our constant weekly introspection that we do here on the show plays a big part in the never stopping scenario. So yeah, never stopping, constant tweaks, little things. Why did I choose to not? Why did I choose to not? Okay, maybe make this little tweak. Oh, my schedule did it suck this? Yeah, it sucked this week. It wasn't helping me to get further. It was causing a jumble. Okay, how can I tweak that schedule now to make success more possible? How can I? And so I think right now it's like everything you're saying is kind of exactly what's happening to me. It's like, yeah, I've failed for decades. I haven't done anything. Well, why? Well, all the right things weren't aligned too. And I think I've gotten to the point where I've just allowed myself to choose the right decisions to get me into the place where success can be possible for me from what I've seen, my struggles. And now I'm to the place where it's easier to succeed because all those other little things have been taken into account. Maybe the time you choose to do that, the time you go to bed, all those things have much more important role than you think to set yourself up so that you can choose success or not.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of small decisions that lead to success, basically. Like, as far as success being a blanket term for working on things that are important to you, or and I'm not saying success as in, oh, you're gonna write an amazing book and become best-selling author. I'm saying success in a personal way where I've chosen to work on this art piece rather than mindlessly grind at a game. Like, that is a success, and this should be viewed as one.
Yeah, because I mean nobody can say how monetarily successful they're going to be, but
That's luck. Well, partially luck.
but if we make the opportunities,
Yeah.
take the opportunities,
So
I
also
agree
want
that's
to
success.
I also want to discuss something I just mentioned where and it's just occurring to me, like, it's been in the back of my mind, but it's like just now occurring to me. So let's say, it's been like 2 weeks or since you've drawn, right? You haven't done anything for 2 weeks. And then you draw. And you're like, okay, finally, I'm doing something. Not celebrating the success, or you're just like putting a band-aid over, like, would you feel like you're putting a band-aid over the failures that have been these last 2 weeks, as opposed to celebrating the success of actually doing something. It's like, oh, finally I'm doing something. It's like this, it comes from a different place than, yes, I did something.
It
It's like
does,
there's,
because you're carrying over the failure.
yeah,
You are bringing it with you. And so it is a different thought process. Um, I have not brought the failure with me because each day is of itself its own. Yes, I have all the baggage of the past. Yes, I have all my, success days and failure days. But today, right now, is the most important moment. And yes, we probably should celebrate our successes a lot more.
oh yeah,
But, like, I'll keep on bringing back cleaning my room. I felt the success.
yeah,
Just laying back, listening to some music for a little bit in a nice, even though I turned off the light, I could still feel the clean. It was like everything is just, arranged differently and better. Even though I never really congratulated myself in that fashion, I enjoyed it and it changed me and I felt it. It was good. I think if we, and the other day when I chose, I was eating lunch and I'm like, okay, well, time to bust out my laptop, which I have not busted out, and come up with something in the last half hour here that I have. I was able to do that, and it felt good. And yeah, the amount of time was not big, and but I came up with a good idea. I got it down, and I liked it. So I felt good there. We shouldn't discount our feelings.
oh yeah. I think that's a big part of our drive is listening to and critiquing our feelings on things. Like I said, I do think there's this like this buildup of pressure that happens when you're not being productive and you want to be. This like frustration.
Yeah.
And then when you finally do it, you're like, finally, I'm not being a piece of crap anymore. And it's like, that's not where you want to be in terms of working on stuff.
No.
Like,
But if you did it tomorrow, would you have that same thought? No. You'd be a little different, right?
well, yeah, for sure. But I think there's a level of positive thinking that's going to encourage you to do it more. Because it's not going to feel good to be like, okay, I'm less of a piece of crap today. As opposed to,
I think that's the opposite, actually, because two scenarios. One, okay, yeah, you have those bad thoughts and you're looking down on yourself and like, oh, finally, and that's the negative side. And what happens the next day is you don't do anything. Okay. But let's say you did something the next day and you felt good about that. You would never be like, oh, finally anymore, because you're now on a train of success. So you'd be like, yeah, I did this again. So it's
well,
like
I don't know if that's entirely true. The second day, you'd be like, I wonder how many days it's going to be before I break it.
Okay,
Or,
okay, yeah. Let's just take it to the extreme and just go. Okay, you've had a series
okay.
of work, and you feel now the success because the success is now built on actual data. See, before when you were on day one and you haven't done anything for 3 weeks, yeah, well, pretending like, oh, I need to success myself and feel good about this. Your mind also is like, yeah, what's the math
Well,
say, pal? So it's hard. It's almost like you're lying to yourself
no, I
to
want
do
to
that.
change the perception that I don't know. I feel like there's something there where there's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself to like complete these projects or to work on these things, and it can come at the detriment of working on these things. So it's I'm trying to figure out what can be done about it to make working on these things easier or just more enjoyable in general that feels good, because I mean, as far like, I do think that feelings are a big part of whether we choose to work on something or not.
We shouldn't discount the feelings, but I don't know how much. Okay, okay. The negative feelings have pushed me harder than the positive ones in the last 3 weeks. The negative feeling of I have no time,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely none. When I get my chance, I am going to use it to
Mm-hmm.
get out of this scenario. That's not a positive, feel good dopamine hit there. That's
Right.
a, I am making this happen. And the feelings you get from doing them after the fact, you're like, oh, okay, yes, the happiness from doing that makes me feel good, and that's what I don't discount. That's what you got to go, okay, I need to take this moment in the limelight for myself, take that breath of fresh air, take that 2 minute, 3 minute alarm, and just go, yeah, and just think for a second about how good it feels to do something positive. That's, I think, after the fact is more powerful
Yeah.
for me, at
I
least the
think
last
I
few
think
weeks.
I think there's something to be said about that. Like, when you do succeed, when you do choose to do the things, don't view it. So I guess maybe this is my synopsis: is don't view it as a I'm finally doing something. View it as, heck yeah, I'm doing stuff.
Yeah. Now, if it has been a very long time, yeah, I mean, the natural reaction is, oh, finally, to kind of look at it as a negative kind of thing. But, you know, people are going to respond how they naturally respond. And I think if you take that day away, your your mind has to sigh and go, oh, finally,
Yeah, I just don't want people
and
beating
that's an
themselves
emotion too.
up. Like, I think there's a lot of I think we're harder on ourselves than anybody else would be. And so I think it's important to remember that, like, enjoy your successes. Celebrate them.
Yeah, it's hard to like know how to do that,
Mm-hmm.
like what to do to celebrate your successes.
I think it's like there's a lot of probably a lot of negative self-talk, like, oh, I'm finally doing something, instead of saying something like think like you can stop that train of thought and be like, no, I'm doing something because like it changing the intent behind the words, and I think is a big deal for building a positive outlook on it. And I think having a positive outlook is going to be more beneficial in the long term.
Yeah, I think for different people have different emotional makeups too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that if that emotional side where you kind of need to have more of that positive outlook of it is something that you feed off of, then by all means, you must find ways to nurture that. Whether it's like saying to yourself, okay, well, if I do X amount of days this week, I get to treat myself out to Sakura or, whatever it is. So whatever you like to eat or whatever you would give yourself as a reward.
I mean, rewards are important, I think, but those are just. Sometimes it's hard to tie the excitement of a reward to an object. They feel like you'd have to be more conscious of while you're consuming the reward, because it's like, okay, well, I did this thing, I felt good, and now I'm going to go eat some food. It's not like, for me, like, they've never been tied together, like the external reward and the accomplishment. They've always just ended up being two separate things.
Well, it'd be almost like, okay, well, while I'm working, I'm going to go get myself this nice, awesome coffee that I like that's too expensive.
See, that I feel like would be a positive reinforcement and encourage you to do it again. You'd be like, ooh, I want that coffee again. Oh, I'd have to work. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, something like that might work then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that.
I like that kind of thing because I want my working life to be filled with just a day I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, it's more fun playing a video game than it is pounding out a stinking chapter of something. It's just not as fun in the same way.
There's like well, it's not fun in the same way, but there's definitely a sort of feeling that you get while you're working on stuff and everything's flowing, and it feels good.
It does, but it's not as instantaneous nor as plentiful in the dopamine department.
I do like the idea of a treat while you're doing it. I feel like Pavloving ourselves is a really good idea.
I say do what it takes because,
Someone's
know
gonna mention
thyself.
drawing, and I'm gonna be like drooling.
I have a little bell over here too. Yeah, it all plays in the same thing, setting yourself up on your sleep, setting yourself up on, all these little nuances. They all matter if they matter. I'm sure there's some person out there who's like, well, all I need to do is just wake up and I'm 100% in. I don't,
Wake up 4 a.m. Run for an hour.
I don't do it. Yeah, first thing I do is chug the 2 bottled waters. Then I dunk into my ice chamber water thing. And then why can't you do that? There are those people that don't need that great drink when they sit down at work. Do what it takes for you. If you're ice bath man,
I'm going to add Pavlov myself to my list of goals. I'm going to start a thing. Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, setting yourself up, every single variable matters, and I'm starting to get the variables right for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess less time is better for me right now because I couldn't do it with all the time in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating, right? Knowing that even with all the time in the world, we squander it.
Yes. But I'm in a better place now, stress wise,
Good.
and there's always the things, there's always the phone calls that happen and somebody needs you for a while and things like that. That's okay, but man, I'm in a good place right now and I want to get things done. I'm excited. And I feel like I need a little reward. So who knows? Within the next 2 days, maybe you'll see me on a video game.
Yeah. Heck yeah. All right. Well then, you have anything you want to say before we close it out here, James? Do you want to tell him to dip you in blue cheese?
No, no, my wife's the blue cheese
I love
lover.
blue cheese.
Oh, give me ranch. Give me
Wait, blue cheese
anything else.
is when you grow out of ranch. It's the better ranch. Ranch is wish blue
I'll
cheese.
eat it, but I don't love it.
Ugh,
It
your flavor profile, your palate is just so rudimentary. Ranch boy.